This whole thing is about China. I keep telling you, and it's not about China and economics. This whole thing is about China and security and the existential struggle against the Chinese. So let me set that up by showing you some things. Incredible Wall Street Journal story. If you're fortunate enough in the Biden-Trump age of inflation to be able to afford the Wall Street Journal, check out this story, filled 103, filled with charts about China versus the U.S. on economics and on military capability. Here's a couple of the economic charts. You can see GDP world total, see what it was in 2000, see what the gap is. It narrowed, and China's had a decline of late, but you can see how China from 2000 up to 20 really narrowed the gap. And then here's another one, 104, manufacturing value added. You can see in around 2008, China passed the United States and now is whooping Uncle Sam's behind. There's lots of charts in there about military capability. We're not going to show them to you because A, they're too many, and B, they're not as clear cut as this. But this is the backdrop for the competition. Now, last night on Brett Baer's show, Scott Bessent said something people in the administration rarely say, and you saw that with Mr. Greer. He acknowledged that the talks with China are not right on track. Here's Scott Bessent, 105, please.
And what about China? How can you characterize those talks now?
I would say that they are a bit stalled. I believe that we will be having more talks with them in the next few weeks, and I believe we may at some point have a call between the president and party chair Xi. I think that given the magnitude of the talks, given the complexity, that this is going to require both leaders to weigh in with each other. They have a very good relationship, and I am confident that the Chinese will come to the table when President Trump makes his preferences known.
Again, Ukraine, Russia is important, North Korea, Iran, the reconciliation bill, the midterms. There's lots of important stories, but this is it, guys. This is the whole thing, is this existential struggle with China. Here's the president moments ago on Truth Social 107, a long post about China making a lot of news, including in the conclusion. 2 weeks ago, China was in grave economic danger. The very high tariffs I set made it virtually impossible for China to trade into the United States marketplace, which is by far #1 in the world. We went, in effect, cold turkey with China and was devastating for them. All true, by the way. Many factories closed, and there was, to put it mildly, civil unrest. Also true. I saw what was happening. I didn't like it, and not so sure. For them, not for us. I made a fast deal with China in order to save them from what I thought was going to be a very bad situation, and I didn't want to see that happen. 50% true. Because of this deal, everything quickly stabilized, and China got back to business as usual. 80% true. Everybody was happy. 20% true. That is the good news. The bad news is that China, perhaps not surprisingly to some, has totally violated its agreement with us. So much for being Mr. Nice Guy. Sean, do you know what the president means when he says China has totally violated its agreement with us?
Clearly, there's something going on behind the scene. I mean, like, I think in terms of investment and think commitments that they made and aren't following through. And I will say the clip that you just played of Scott Bessent is a huge tell. When you're publicly talking about things not going well, and then that's and you know the president's watching it, that means that's sort of like when a hit used to come out by the mob. It was sort of it was what do they call it? A blessed hit or whatever. I mean, like this is a coordinated strategy to put China in a corner again and be like, hey guys, you're not following up. So whatever commitments they might have made during those talks, clearly the Trump doesn't feel like they're following through.
Dan, thoughts?
I mean, that tweet to me was comical. I don't believe that he is. I do not believe that Donald Trump is a real Mr. Nice Guy who's thinking, boy, I poor sheep. It's just not going well for them. Let me really help them out. I mean, that to me is silly. But always project strength, always project control, always project on the verge of winning, right? And that tweet was just like the defying gravity tweet to try to make people think things are going well. Look, China is a
signal to them, though, right? That's what he was. I mean,
but what is the signal? But the signal that the way I have read this whole entire thing is China is wobbly. I totally agree with you, Mark. They are experiencing real pain. We were experiencing real pain, And that is why
less. I think quantitatively less.
well, I think what was happening
We
was
were anticipating.
I was going to say, I mean, we were on the verge, meaning CEOs were like, next week, we are going to start to do A, B, C, and D. And so he backed off, right? He got very nervous, or as he said, the yips.
But Trump bailed before there was serious pain in the US, but after there was serious pain in China that Xi knows could come back.
Oh, look, I believe it is mutually assured destruction if he were to go through. And so I think as a result, the Chinese, who always play the long game, they've never been reliable partners when it comes to trade ever, are slow walking it. They are probably violating. I mean, I would not be shocked whatsoever because they violated the WTO agreement within like a month, 20 years ago. So I'm sure Trump is frustrated because he wants he likes neat and clean victories, things that are easily digestible that he can point to and you feel in your life. And it's really hard with the Chinese because they know it. And to them, this is their moment on the world stage.
Sean, you and I are both braced for a Trump-Xi summit, but Besson said phone call.
Well, the phone call will be far. I mean, there'll be some steps first.
Yeah, understood.
They're not, but this has got to happen. I mean, there has to be a meeting at some point soon, because that's the only way that it'll break through. And I think Trump is sort of he's sort of going, put me in, coach. Let's have this meeting. Let me sit and have dinner. I was there. We had that dinner at Mar-a-Lago in the first term. He wants this meeting. He wants to get Xi, sitting down and negotiating one-on-one, like all these other deals that he wants to have. So
I have a new prediction about where the summit will be, Dan, real quick. It's going to be in Singapore. Dan.
So Trump wants, he's so confident, get me in the room, I will achieve victory somehow. My sense is the Chinese are the complete opposite. They do not put Xi in a room unless they have a very good sense of what that outcome is going to be.
Correct.
He did go in January, and I think the Chinese were a little humiliated when he launched the missiles on Syria. I think it was Syria. And kind of spiked the football in the Chinese face, and they were caught off guard, and there were photos of them kind of taken aback. And would China risk going into a meeting where we don't know, and we're just going to lock the two together?
No, they're going to want.
That's where I see the problem for Trump. Wants to get in the room, and they're not.
Remember what that list looks like. So China is going to want to say, okay, we're going to do these 5 things, and but. I get it. I think that there's a very different dynamic now, but Trump wants the meeting. I think Xi will know how to obfuscate enough to get around any big things. But I still think at the end of the day that they're going to want to have this. They know. I mean, to your point about what China knows, they know that having that relationship is valuable to Trump. Trump values being able to say that he's got a strong relationship with Xi. So having a meeting, they realize is also good for the relationship, i.e. good for long-term stuff, and as a way to take the temperature down on some things. So they do want it. I agree with you that they're very cautious about what they want to be able to be discussed, and they'll limit the scope, or think that they'll limit the scope of topics.
Yeah.
Hey, did you like that conversation? Well, you can be part of the Two-Way community. Join us live for interactive conversations like no other. Go to twoway.tv. You can also watch anytime. Hit the subscribe button and watch our Two-Way clips and full episodes whenever your time allows.